Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Feeling and Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Z, MFT in the making motivator and mental health maven. And today I am so happy to welcome Jessi. She is a coach who helps people quit smoking and just form healthier lifestyles. So, welcome, Jessi, for being on the call. I appreciate you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk with you.
Of course, of course. So just tell me, because I know you mentioned when we first spoke, you quit smoking. You said you were a long time smoker, and you kind of just quit smoking and then went on this kind of empowerment journey of self-discovery and healing. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing with the audience that story and what inspired you to kind of do the work that you do today.
Yeah, so I started smoking pretty young, like a lot of people do. I was 13. I
Mm.
was in that phase when you're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to kind of break away and find yourself, and also trying to be an adult, trying to move out of that phase of childhood and figure out what does it mean to be an adult. And so
Mm.
for me, I grew up around smoking. It was always a very cool adult thing. I, had looked up to it. I loved movies with smoking, and I ended up making friends with kids that were older than me because I didn't really fit in my class. And so all these older kids, they smoked. And so it was something I just kind of naturally gravitated towards. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was cool. And looking back now, I can see that I was really looking for some kind of initiation, some kind of
Mm.
marker from childhood to adulthood. And I feel like smoking took the place of that for me. It made me feel like I was a part of a community. It made me feel like I
Mm.
belonged, and it made me feel like an adult. So that's where I started off with it. And I fell into it pretty hard. Like I said, they were smoking in my home, so that was no issue. I didn't really have any barriers, other than maybe being at school. And I tried very hard in school. That was something that was very important to my family, is to get good grades. And
Mhm.
it was like I was kind of paving the way with that. I was the first one to go to college, to be, excelling at this. And so I got lifted up a lot of, like that. Hey, you're smart, which is kind of funny because I was doing this thing that seemingly is not very smart, smoking. But these two things went together somehow, where I
Yeah.
was like driven by perfectionism. I would stay up
Mm.
late and work really, really hard. And while I'm doing that, I'm puffing away on these cigarettes.
Mm.
Like, it was kind of like a release for me, a way to be bad, a way
Mm.
to, you know, cope with stress. And I just really got caught into the cycle where I just didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't know how to regulate everything I needed. I went to smoking for. And so you can imagine that ended up being very unhealthy in terms of
Of
mental
course.
health,
Yeah.
emotional health. And it really kind of isolated me from making friends that didn't smoke. Like, everyone in my
Mm.
life smoked, and that was like the only way I knew how to connect to people, was through smoking. I didn't feel comfortable going without it or being with non-smokers, and so
Mm.
it kind of like made my world pretty small, where it seemed like it was okay and it was normal and everyone was doing it, but I was just really in this bubble with it. And so that continued on. I went to college. Things got progressively worse the more pressure I had on myself. So I went to college. I was a little fish in a big pond all of a sudden, and just really competitive environment where,
Mhm.
it was a science, I was a science major, and so I felt pretty isolated as a woman. And it was like this really masculine, hustle, competitive type of environment. And, being taught things in science, I kind of had already kind of built my way into this, but I really got like entrenched in this scientific dogma where it's like, we're part of an accidental universe. We have no purpose or meaning or connection. We're just like a random accident. It's survival of the fittest. Kind of that mentality. And I was really taking that
Yeah.
in, and it was getting me into a really dark place where I was ended up smoking more. I also smoked a lot of pot throughout this whole time, but that kind of got
Mm.
heavier and was affecting me more. It kind of changed a lot because I've talked to other people about this. Like, sometimes with smoking weed, where it's like this nice, relaxing, mellow thing, and then like at some point when you're in that cycle of abusing it, it just turns really sour, where it's like paranoia,
Mhm.
not good feelings. And so that's
Yeah.
where that's where I was, and I was drinking too, and so I was kind of caught in that. I didn't really see a way out. I was being so successful on the outside. Everyone was like, wow, you're doing great. You're doing well in school. You got this degree. And then, I wound up in a successful career. And so everything on the outside looked like I was doing really well. But inside, I was like falling apart, hanging on by a thread. And the only thing I knew how to do to feel better was smoke. But looking
Yeah.
back, it's so silly. It's like, okay, that's part of what was causing this whole issue to begin with. But everything changed. I heard a man talking on the radio, and he was talking about linguistics, and he was talking about like where words come from and kind of using it in like a mythic storytelling way. And I thought that was really interesting. And I was used to spending time on campus and going to academia lectures. And so I was like, oh, this is like a lecture. I can go see him. And I went, and that's what I was expecting. And he completely shocked me. I walked in, and one of the first things he tells the audience, it felt like he was looking right at me. He said, "You
Huh.
are not your career." And
Yeah.
I'm there, like in my work boots, like in this construction hustle culture. I'm like, what? And so he talked more about the soul, and it just felt like it really resonated with me. And I was started to get curious and open that maybe being successful isn't the most important thing in life, and that maybe there is more to life than numbers, than making money, than having degrees and letters
Hmm.
and all the things that I had been pursuing for so long that was completely like eroding my self-confidence, my self-worth, and my mental health, just being happy, enjoying life, because it was
Hmm.
never enough. I was just like on that hamster wheel where it's like, just work harder, work harder, work harder. I had a really negative self-talk with it. And that's something that was happening with smoking. So I was trying to quit smoking. I was always like, you just need to be smarter, you need to be better. That's
Hmm.
the kind of self-talk I was using when I was relying on willpower. And so seeing that talk with, his name is Michael Meade. He's someone that started me on the spiritual journey and started making me kind of shift maybe from this scientific perspective on everything. And as I was working with that more and more, I started understanding myself better and seeing that the
Hmm.
self-talk problem was a source of me not being able to quit, because I was suffering with some health problems, especially in my mouth. And I had to quit. Like everyone's like, "Hey, you're gonna lose all your teeth if you don't quit." So it
Yeah.
was it was right there on the verge, like you have to do something. And so I was trying to quit, but I wasn't able to go more than a few months. But it was still a big
Okay.
deal because I was going days, I was going weeks, and then I was going months. And I was doing this, I was learning more about myself because I started getting really curious. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I going back to smoking? I was doing
Hmm.
so well. Like, what happened? And so I would really
Hmm.
pay attention, and I started to notice that it was my self talk. Whenever I had thoughts of self hatred, that's when I would have to smoke. Like I would just
Hmm.
complete. Oh, there's nothing I can do to get out of this other than smoke, and I would go back to that. And so when I started working with that more and trying out self love, that's how I was able to finally quit smoking. And it was not easy. It was very, very uncomfortable. The first time I told myself I love myself, it was in a group meditation, and I just felt sick to my stomach. I was so disgusted with even the thought of loving myself. It's like, no, I'm, you know, a piece of trash. Like, I am not worth
Oh.
anything. Like, I was so used to that. I'm like, hey, this is a real problem. And so I started to get curious with that and question. I couldn't quite say, like, I love myself when I looked in the mirror. That was just like, made me fall apart. But I started just being like,
Oh.
what if I did love myself?
Yeah.
Just kind of like
The
played with that.
possibility.
Yeah. And so that work is ultimately what led me to quitting smoking, was finding self-love. And when you can't find love, going to acceptance, accepting
I
that I'm
love
an
that.
imperfect creature and I've made mistakes that can't be fixed, and that's okay. And I'm going to make mistakes in the
Absolutely.
future. So it kind of helped me shift out of that perfectionism that was driving me insane. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, and I will be I'm there with you. I haven't seen you at the meetings, but I'm a struggling perfectionist. And also too, you have to realize like something that was like life-changing for me, but like even though you know consciously know this, being self-aware enough and recognizing that there really is no such thing as perfect. I mean,
right,
as much as we are taught and conditioned to think there really isn't any perfection is it is like not a is not a achievable thing in any aspect of life, your career, your self-work, your whatever, motherhood, family. There's no such thing as perfect.
and it's not even satisfying because And with numbers, you can sometimes get a perfect number. You can get the 4.0, but
True, true.
it's a lot more fleeting than you expect. You tell
Yeah.
yourself things like, if I get a 4.0, I'll be
Yes. Yeah, and
worthy.
you'll be happy, or
Yeah,
you'll feel perfect for that. And you took the net, like hit the nail right on the head, that you're chasing like a fleeting feeling. You're gonna
yeah.
feel that way for a very short period of time, but then it's gonna be like, all right, well, what's the next thing?
Hmm.
What's the next milestone? What's the next thing I need to do? And from what I'm hearing from you describing your story, it sounded like smoking was a very heavy coping mechanism for you,
Yes.
and that negative self-talk and being there, that was your coping mechanism, was turning to cigarettes, which I want to normalize that too. That is a very like normal thing to, you want to um mask, mask pain, and you don't, who wants to live in that world of negative self-talk? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
um yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a way for me to suppress any unwanted feeling.
Mm.
And I thought that that made it go away, but now I know that it's much healthier to deal with the feeling, to feel the feeling,
Yeah,
and then you can let it
do
go.
that deeper work.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
still there. It just lives inside you when you try
Well,
to
yeah,
shut
because
it down.
as you said, you tried to quit, and you would quit for, a couple months, and then you would start up again. It was just like you were just almost delaying the process of it.
Yeah, I didn't want to feel the pain, but when I
Mhm.
did, that's what helped me change.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And now you help people do what you've done, and help them overcome their, habits of smoking, and, get on their spiritual paths, and so have you, correct?
Yes, and I love that
Yeah.
work. And it all starts with just developing the awareness because it's so hard to see what's going on from within you. So I kind of help guide people to find that and to reconnect with intuition. So that's a huge
Hmm.
part of what helped me quit was my intuition, and it was something that I had been trained to ignore. I was
Yes.
told, no, do this, and that's what I
Hmm.
was doing successfully. I was following the plan that someone else wanted me to have, the society
Yeah.
wanted me to have, and
Yep.
wasn't listening to my intuition that was telling me, no, this is too much. I don't even enjoy this, like
Yeah.
I just was so dead set on and that external validation. That's how I
Mm.
knew how to survive, how to get love, how to get attention and approval. And so that's part of my work that I love the most. It's like I kind of help guide them to maybe see what's going on, and then use their intuition to meet their own needs in a way that's
Yeah.
unique to them because we're all so different. And it's a beautiful
Absolutely. And
thing.
absolutely. And we all I always say we all have a gift, right? I always say
Yes.
our our like life is to find that gift, and then our purpose is to give it away. And you're lucky that you found on your journey that gift, and now you're giving that gift to the world, which is so beautiful. And we all have a story, and we're all unique, and we're all special. And I think you also, when you were talking, it struck me and that's similar to my story, is that like when we think about success and what it looks like on the outside, it's like you were doing all the things. You were like, you went to college, you got the job, but like you were just so unfulfilled, and it didn't feel right for you.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
how I felt. And I couldn't
Yeah.
understand why.
Yeah. And then you did and that's what I think too is very empowering, and similar to you on my journey. Once you take the time, and instead of looking outward, instead of looking at your career, instead of looking, even you said smoking to you was a form of belonging, gaining friendships. And once you stop looking outside for things and you turn inside, that's when, like, I always say, the magic happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as painful as it can be, because I'm sure, as you said, as you introduced the conversation, this was not an easy journey for,
No.
for you. But I think anything is no, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything that you've been through, like healing wise, or any self work, to be easy. It's gonna be hard, and it's gonna test you. But I think you can um agree that it's worth it in the long run.
Absolutely. And I like to look at things through a mythic perspective because I find that ancient myths can have a lot of truths that are timeless and really help us
Mm.
understand the human psyche and, what life is really all about. Like you had mentioned gifts, that we all come into the world with gifts that we forget because we
Yes,
all
yes.
become wounded. And I believe that the pain, the struggle is a necessary component for growth and to
Mm.
initiation to the
Yep.
next phase of life.
Well, unfortunately, I know I use the metaphor a lot of the times with like working out and like physical health, like, physical
Yeah,
fitness. And if you to gain a muscle, you have like or to work out, you need to have some sort of pain, like literally, like you have to, like not like excruciating, but that's why they say no pain, no gain, because you're not, So I feel the same way about emotional, spiritual, whatever work you're doing, healing work. Unfortunately, you're through times of pain are probably going to be your biggest times of growth.
yeah, it's a part of being human, the whole picture. We can't just have the good things in life. It's not
Mhm.
a commercial, and that
Oh
I had to
God, yeah.
face
And
that.
honestly, I would, but how boring would it be if it
Oh yeah,
was? You know
oh
what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and we wouldn't grow and we wouldn't evolve if we were stuck in that. Yeah, and like if I, like I mean, of course it sounds nice, right? Like, oh yeah, but like you wouldn't be ever be challenged. You wouldn't really learn much if you were stuck in that like comfortable state, as I like to say.
exactly. I can think of a saying. It's smooth seas make a poor sailor. Like,
Oh yes, yes,
yeah,
yep, yep.
you got to have a
Yeah.
little rough and tumble in there to really figure out who you are and what you stand for and what your values are. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's hard when you're in it.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. I think I've been through, and I love the metaphor of like sailing in storms and the sea. Like I've been in many. I think what I've learned of the storms in my life is that they have made me stronger. You know what I mean? I'm definitely a different person after walking out of it. And it's shown my resilience, but easy, definitely not.
You're right.
Easy, easy, and what do they say? Safe is for sidewalks. I don't know if I'm making that up, but like, I'm not saying I want my life to be difficult, but I
Right.
think when you take everything in life as like a lesson and a learning experience, that's when like you're able to kind of awaken a bit and be like, okay, yeah, there is like a deeper meaning to this, and this, as you said, kind of like in your spirituality and realizing that we are here for a reason and we're all connected for a reason.
Yeah, and it helps you have more power, which can kind
Yes.
of be a balance game because it can be so miserable just being helpless victim. Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
kept me stuck a long time in that addiction. But then there was another side of me that was like hyper controlling and hyper focused, and I had to kind of find like the balance place between that to feel better and not need smoking anymore to be me to regulate. And so
Yeah.
I just think that that can be a very difficult thing sometimes is finding that balance.
Absolutely. And I think you shed a light on a big thing that and I will say, even as a person who like I wouldn't say I have like addiction. I've smoked throughout my life for like short periods of time, but the use of substances, any substance, whether it be nicotine, whether it be alcohol, whether like a lot of times we do self-medicate. And
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to say, like, I've done it too. Like, sometimes after a hard day, you're like, oh my gosh, I just like need a drink. I mean, I'm not saying I'm drinking to excess, but like sometimes like it just takes the edge off. And we live in a physical world that, we do have legal stimulants at our fingertips to help us cope through. But then you have to, what you did is what's the harder part about that is going back to the why. Like, why am I when you knew all this stuff with, causing health issues, and, it took you to that moment when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose all my teeth and
Yeah.
everything for you to wake, for you to get there. But some people don't. I mean, I'm glad you did, but some people don't get like that. They need a bigger realization.
Well, it's all about beliefs and working with beliefs because I thought that smoking was a stress relief, and
Mm,
it took me a long time to accept that it wasn't effective anymore because of
mm,
those, you know, relapses I had when I would quit smoking.
mm,
And then I'd be like, okay, I'm so stressed out. If I just have a cigarette, it'll be better. And then I smoke a cigarette.
mm.
I'm like, oh, I'm still stressed out.
I'm still stressed out. Yeah.
you know?
I still
Yeah.
feel the same. Yeah, yeah,
So I had
yeah.
to get really open with that. And it was so hard to overcome that belief that I'd had since I was 13 that we get from marketing, that we get passed on from other
Mhm.
people, from our families, that, this is a kind of medication, that it does help in some ways, that it makes problems go away. And then if you really can kind of look at it with an open mind and curiosity, you might find that that's not true, or maybe it was true in the beginning and it's no longer true. So that's what I
Yeah.
help work with people too, is to find out what beliefs they have that are keeping them stuck in the cycle and how to kind of shift that belief because they're so hard to change. It
Yeah.
really takes a lot of intention attention and
Yeah.
practice, So,
Yeah, I mean, and you said too, and you shared your story, like, you thought like when you were initiated to into you said it was kind of an initiation. It was you used smoking as kind of your like community building to build to belong for friendship, and that is a like the human need for connection is a very strong strong emotion, a strong pull. So it makes perfect sense why you were, drawn to that in the beginning of your journey.
yeah, and part of it's a little bit darker than that too. So part of initiation, like we talked about, is the necessary pain. And I think I was seeking that out in some way. So like choking down a cigarette and being a tough girl kind of gave me
Mm.
that taste, that dance with death that we're looking for at
Mm.
that age. That's a very tumultuous time. And I don't feel like it was until I went through the emotional pain and the physical
Oh.
withdrawals of quitting smoking that I finally got that initiation. I finally felt like an adult, and I've been looking for that for so long. But I kind of had like a misguided initiation that kept me
Hmm.
stuck. And addiction is kind of childish. And I felt really silly doing this. I'm like, why am I doing this thing? But I just had latched onto it so hard as a young person that it was difficult for me to let go and find out what it really took to, stand on my own 2 feet and know who I really am and be comfortable putting that out into the world and expressing that.
Oh yeah, no, well, thank you for sharing your story. There's no shame. I mean, I think that I love that I mean, took something like, you took a habit in your life, a pattern, if you will, in your life, of smoking, and you brought it back to something deeper going on. Because normally I will say, and you can fill in the blank with anything. You can even fill in the blank with healthy coping mechanisms
Yes.
like overworking. I know that's one of my coping mechanisms, like working too much, going to the gym excessively. Like it doesn't have to be all negative for your health. There's other things that you do to I guess practice hypervigilance and what have you. That society deems as successful things, but at the end of the day, you're just trying to fill a void.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found that, yeah, definitely a workaholic. That's my underlying
And that's your
addiction. Yeah.
another cope. Oh no, it's so funny. I have that too. The overworking is a cope is a it's an unhealthy coping mechanism. But I think
It's praised. Yeah.
it's praised in society, especially in like the States, capitalism, but also too, I think just having the awareness around it, like we both have, is so important. Because yes, I can get myself in overworking modes, but I am able to get myself out of it. Like I am able to, like even before this podcast call, I told Jesse I was like I need like 10 minutes just to regroup because I felt myself. I'm like. I don't want to, I want to, first of all, I want to be present for, our episode, but also too, I was like, I just need to, I need 10 minutes and you were cool with it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It was all good, but I was like, that's what I needed in that moment. So thank you for that. And that's all you need. And it doesn't, you don't have to make these, I mean, like change who you are and all this stuff. Cause I feel like, I will always have a very strong work ethic, but just make like minor, just notice the moments where you're maybe pushing a little too hard and pull back a little bit or do what you need to do in that moment.
Our intuition will tell us. It's about whether
Yeah.
we listen.
That is true. That is very true. And I love that you were able to flex that skill because a lot of people like, don't learn how to trust themselves and self-trust is something that I'm sure you've experienced, it's something that you learn. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't come innately. I mean, for some, I mean, at least for me, I mean, I don't know. I can only speak for myself because I only know myself and my self-trust, but that's something that like even to this day like I have to be like all right Danielle like trust yourself. Actually somebody just gave me a bracelet for Christmas and it says trust on it and it's like trust yourself, trust the process. Like it's just gotta have that trust and it takes time to build that.
Yeah. And it makes perfect sense in a busy world. Like, it's so loud and confusing.
It is.
There's like all this information and it's like contradictory, and intuition is the way out. It makes things so much more simple when you're like, what do I feel about this? And you value
Yeah.
that. And yeah, it is kind of a muscle. I feel like it's something I always had, but like I said, I got trained to ignore. It's like,
Mm.
no, that's not what you should do. That's what I was
Well,
kind of
yeah, I mean,
told.
like
So
conditioning,
yeah,
like, and even you said, like, with your version of success, similar. It's like once you realize your intuition will tell you what you want and what you value, and you have to be aware enough to listen and then strong enough to trust it, I
yeah.
feel.
It's like the
Yeah.
scariest thing in the world to be yourself. It's so silly, but it's
I know.
true.
Yeah, I know, but it is true. It's like I think there's a quote that it's like to be yourself. in a world that's like trying to like there's like I don't know. So it's about something about like in being yourself in a world that's trying to like make you something else always. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's so true. Like our whole lives we're told you should be doing this. This is what success looks like. And like when are we ever given the opportunity to be our truest, most authentic self?
Yeah.
We have to pave that for ourselves.
It's a very mysterious thing. I feel like our society really emphasizes like the blank slate idea where you come into the world and people write things on you and you're kind of just like blank. You have nothing. And
Hmm.
you're a composite of like all the culture you're in and all the knowledge you got and your experiences. And that's kind of has some truth in it. But I like the mythic perspective. Like you said, we were born into the world carrying gifts and that we
Hmm.
won't be fulfilled until we express those gifts and share them and other people need them too. So that's kind of something that helps motivate me through the fear when I'm afraid to shine out and I'm like, oh, I might get rejected, but then I might actually reach somebody and
Absolutely.
people need that and I need people to share their gifts and be authentic and do the scary thing and let them shine out as well, because when we try to take on a character, be something we're not, get that external validation, and the whole world misses out, honestly.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I will say as I'm on my growth journey and healing journey, whatever fill in the blank journey that I'm on, this journey we call life, I've realized that even though like of course feeling rejection or feeling, as you said, like when you step out in the world, like getting that maybe some negative external validation or invalidation, excuse me. That shows you also people that you don't want to be around or the type of energy you don't want to associate with yourself with. So if you see it as a learning and not as like a rejection, then you're like, oh, okay. Like you kind of like if I figure out your own, like, how you did with smoking, like you figure out your like tribe of people and the people that reject what you have going on or are maybe triggered by it. I always say like whatever, you shine your light and if anybody's like has like, a problem with it, like that's something within you that you need to figure out or work out on your own. Because I'm from the camp of like I said, everybody has a gift and I believe that we all should we all owe it to ourselves to live in our true selves. And a lot of people unfortunately live out their whole lives like trying to, as I said, on that hamster wheel, on that autopilot. And in my opinion, you waste your human experience doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But sorry, were you gonna say something?
I was just kind of taking it in. I had a thought, but I went.
Oh no, it's okay. You could. I mean, no. If it hopefully it comes back. But that your thought. But yeah, I'm a big That's the work similar to the work that I do with my clients is kind of getting them off that hamster wheel, getting like yes, everything might look shiny and new on the outside, but on the inside they're falling apart. And it's like no, it shouldn't be like that. You should feel while you're building whatever you're building, you should feel good about it and good about yourself. And if you have to self-abandon, then that's when I tell them to walk away from certain things. Right when you abandon yourself and your morals and your values and that compass and that intuition, I'm like, yeah, that's your body telling you, no,
Yeah.
like, gotta change course here.
Yeah, and it's about building self-worth too, I think, so
Mm,
that if somebody doesn't like you, you don't take that in as,
yes.
this is all I'm worth, this is person's opinion of me, that you have self-worth, because I don't think the point of life is to be liked.
No,
It's
no, 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 no.
and we have to, it's like risk and vulnerability. Like you have to give up something to get anything. You have to take a risk to gain anything. You have to be vulnerable and risk being hurt to make true connection and have genuine love. And, someone might not like you, but it's well worth any kind of small, bump, pain, rejection to be yourself and to gain that connection and relationship and just, knowledge, wisdom.
Exactly. And I always say what you have to gain out of it is yourself, like it was worth it.
Yeah.
So, and like life is hard. I've been through many seasons of my life and especially if you're somebody who likes to grow, you will lose a lot. Versions of yourself,
Yeah.
friendships, relationships, that's something that I've learned. I'm like and I'm getting better at it, but it always hurts. You know what I mean? But I'm like, but then similar going back to what we were saying, there's no pain, there's no growth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that was a huge part of quitting smoking. I think any big change like that, you go through that grieving process.
Yeah, you had to grieve like just like because I'm sure that was part of you were it was such a large part of your life that that is like an identity shift for you.
To lose that easy fix was the hardest. That idea that I could just make it go away and I could just feel good for a
Hmm.
minute, and that thing that you turn to lose that, it was just like heartbreaking. I'm like, you mean there's no easy fix?
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, well, and that's the thing too. I think we live in a work like, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I always say, the work that you do with your clients, the work that it's not easy. Like as we keep saying, it's very hard. But it's once there is no quick. If you if you think there's a quick fix out there, I'm gonna spoil it for everybody. There isn't one.
Yeah,
There's no there.
the
It'll
trick.
you'll just be continuously chasing that next like quick fix. So whether it be smoking, whether it be drinking, whether it be whether getting in relationships, and constant being surrounded by somebody. Like until you're able to sit with yourself like and just sit with all the mess and all the craziness and all the good things too and really unpack that, that's when you're able to then all right, like we have some work to do.
Yeah, and the not knowing, because smoking felt so safe to me. It's kind of,
Mm,
it's just so strange how something that, is like known toxin, very unsafe behavior feels safe. You can just kind of
yeah,
get caught in that loop where you just rely on it so much that you're missing the obvious. It's just kind of this pattern that you've built. And so that was something that was hard for me to let go of, was that safety, that anchor that I'd had since a kid. I never really had the chance to develop coping skills, or
yeah,
I had to kind of learn.
that was your go-to coping mechanism.
Definitely. So I had
Yeah,
to learn that as an adult, and I'm so grateful that I did, because it's just changed my life in so many ways now. I,
yeah,
I just am forever grateful that I went through that journey, even though it was hard, because it's just brought so much love and light and joy in my life that I probably wouldn't have been able to access. I was really in a dark place where I didn't care if I lived or died when I was smoking. I mean, you kind of have
wow.
to accept that when you're doing it. You're like, I'll just smoke until I die. This is going to kill me.
Oh,
Oh, well.
yeah,
And when I was able to kind of get out of that, I was just like, wow, life is great. I'm
yeah,
so.
like yeah. Like oh like, yeah, but it
Yeah.
is, yeah, and I'm glad you came to that realization because I'm happy that yeah, like because that saddens me to think that you were when you were stuck in that cycle that you were like no, it's like life, but there's so much of life to live.
Yeah. And I think I'm able to appreciate it even more because I was there. So
Yes.
now I know what an amazing thing I have, and I can really relate to people that are in that place, in that dark
Yes.
place, and they don't
Yeah.
see any way out. It's like I can see that for them, and even
Mm, and
just that
guide them
alone.
out.
Yeah, and yeah, I didn't think that I would ever be a good mother. I definitely didn't want to have a child when I was pregnant, or when I was smoking. I didn't want to be pregnant. And so that's one of the greatest things that's come from quitting, is that I was able to start a family, and it's just
Amazing.
opened up my life in so many ways. And being with my daughter is really what inspired me to start writing again, and that's how I wound up into writing Honor Your Heart and starting my business. And it's just been an amazing journey.
That's amazing. And I'm so happy for you that that has been your journey and that you've taken something. I always think it's the most like beautiful people in this world take something like a personal experience like you did and turn it into something that is inspiring, empowering, and also at the end of the day helping and serving others. So thank you for the work that you do.
Oh, I love it. It's for me too. I learned so
Yeah.
much
Oh, I
too.
know. I know. Sometimes I feel the same way about me too. Sometimes I'm like, I enjoy this too. I was like, that might sound a little selfish, but I
It's
do.
true. I'll be honest. I love
Yeah.
it. And I
That's
love learning from
amazing.
others. I'm not the guru up on the mountain. I learned so
No,
much from
yeah,
talking
no,
to people. It's
no, me
something
too.
that just fills me up, and the journey keeps going for sure. I'm definitely can always
We're
go
all works
deeper.
in progress.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Jesse, thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate it. And then for everybody listening, your book, Honor Your Heart, it's available online, correct?
Yes, at honoryourheart.net.
Yes, honoryourheart.net. So thank you so much, everybody, for another great episode of the Feeling and Healing podcast. As usual, you can find me on YouTube at Feeling and Healing, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify.